guys, I'm Demetria and I am a content creator. I've been a digital marketer and creator online for over 20 years. And I shared my story of that journey in the last video. So if you haven't caught that, you might want to catch it. And I'll leave a link down below, of course. I am Demetria. I love content creation. I love digital marketing and podcasting and making YouTube videos and blogging and all the things that have to do with creating content. It has been a successful journey in terms of what I've gotten out of making videos and making podcasts and blogs over the years. So I've been able to do a lot because of it. Been able to attend conferences as a content creator, for free, and been able to do a lot for my family because of that. And also been able to make some money along the way as well. So been able to increase my income. It's all been a great journey. It has not been always easy though. And so that's what I want to share about on this video is when I'm having setbacks, and I've had quite a few. So as I said in my last video, I've created over 10 brands, but I have probably purchased a total of maybe 50 or more domain names since 2004. So, that's a long time to have had time to play around with being online and finding domain names and things like that. So, I have started a lot of different brands, but one thing is you will experience as a creative, you're going to experience some setbacks sometimes. It's not always a push the button and go. We might feel like it should be that way, especially since we have all of these creators that are teaching how to be a great content creator, how they're teaching you how to make money online. And we think that we can use that knowledge and that information and then just press the go button. And it's on our lives. Now we have the same abilities and the same tools to use to get ahead and to do exactly what that teacher or that mentor has taught us. But it is not like that because our lives are so different, so no matter who your mentor is, their lifestyle is different than ours, right? Your lifestyle is different than your mentor. So what works for your teacher, your coach may not work for you the same way. So there will be some times that you're going to feel like there's a bit of a struggle as you try to figure out how to forge your way in the content creation world. And that's just the reality of things. I've had my moments of setbacks, of challenges, of health challenges, of sadness, loneliness, depression, all the things that come along with being a human being who is dealing with life, right? And so I'm not as young as I used to be. And so as I've gotten older, I've experienced some things that have really taken me for a loop. And so I haven't always been in a mental space where I'm able to show up the same way online, right? So I've had to take a lot of breaks over time. I've had to go and get jobs. I've had to work full-time, part-time, and in addition to my gigs that I'm doing online. So it's not a one fell swoop or always a continuum journey where you're starting here and you immediately go up in your income and your happiness and joy, and then you just keep going up and up and up from there. That's not realistic. Usually the entrepreneurial path is a series of ups and then a little bit down and then up and then a little down, but you just keep going until you just eventually get where you need to be. And sometimes you plateau because that is where you need to be. And then maybe you switch gears and you do something different in your life because this no longer serves you, right? So you just have to look at your journey as something that's part of your life, not something that is just a way to make quick bucks, right? It's a lifestyle. And so we want to make money, but we also want it to be holistically infused in our life in a way that makes sense for us in the moment. So, as content creators, we always talk about consistency. We always say be consistent. And so I'm going to say that I have been consistent over 20 years, but I have not been consistent with the same brand for 20 years. I have one brand currently that I have maintained for almost 13 years. The other brands have come and gone. And that's just me figuring things out. That's the process of elimination and figuring out what I want to do and what I don't want to do online, how I want to show up, how I don't want to show up online. And that's okay. And so I want to encourage you that, you can find your way. You don't have to figure it out on day one. Consistency doesn't mean perfection. You can take breaks. Consistency is about showing up more often than not. And it's not about being perfect every day. The second tip that I think is really important is In order to be consistent, you'll need systems. So wherever you are in your life and whatever your project, your brand happens to be, that brand is going to need a set of systems for you to really work that brand. And so you got to look at where you are in life, what you're doing, what your responsibilities are. Are you a mom? Are you raising kids? Are you a wife? You have to work with your husband to make decisions together. Are you in the middle of a move? Are you taking care of your elderly parents? Are you taking care of someone else's kids? Are you in a life crisis? Are you in a health crisis? Are you working several other jobs? All of this is going to come into play with how consistent you are, but you're going to have systems. So maybe if this is the time for you to do your business, maybe you have to really put it on autopilot. So you'll have to create systems for that. But if you have a little extra time and you want to do service-based business as a solopreneur, then know that you'll need to set aside time to work with your clients. Whatever the case is, you have to set aside time to work, whether it's working to create your content, whether it's working to set up your system or working to work with your clients. There's time in your day, a big chunk of time that you have to set aside to devote to that work that you're doing. So creating systems is going to be everything for you. So how are you going to manage your money part of it? How are you going to take payment from your customers? How are you going to automate that so that you don't have to keep looking to see if someone has sent you money so that you can then send them the product? Because that's one of my pet peeves. I have ordered things from people before and they didn't have their systems together, so they didn't realize I'd ordered anything. And so they never shipped it. And when you're a solopreneur, you have to be on top of that. So creating a system that is automated for you. Also, if you are a service-based provider, if your clients need to book time with you, how will they do that? Do they need to go back and forth in emails with you to figure out what time is best? Or do you have a scheduling system for them to book a time with you on your schedule? That is an automation that really helps to alleviate your time. Do you have a system for contracts and invoices? So the money part of it is one system to look at. Another system is how you're going to market your materials. Are you going to use social media? If so, then social media needs its own system, its own scheduling system. And what kinds of content are you going to put out? How regularly will you put out that content? And when? So you need a calendar for when those things are scheduled. And we have all kinds of tools that I love using for that. And so I will have an entrepreneur's kit for you. It's called the Elevated Entrepreneurs Business Toolkit, and I will leave that in the link below. It is absolutely free to you, and it will show you all the tools that I have been using over the past 20 years. So I didn't share the ones from too long ago because I didn't want anything that's outdated, of course, but anything that I've been using in the past like 6-7 years that's still relevant, it's on that list. And Planoly is one of them for social media, and Hootsuite. So some of those are listed and why I like them. So you can get that in the link below. And another type of system you might want to think about is your content for your blog. If you keep a blog, and I hope you do create one because it's a great way to grow your business online, your home base, which is your blog. So how will you create that content and what topics will you be using? A system for making sure that content gets published on your content calendar for your blog. And then if you're pinning, that's another type of social media to some degree, but it's more of a search engine. But how often are you pinning your pins from your blog to Pinterest, that kind of thing. So those are some systems. And then you're going to have systems for how you create your audios and your videos, and when you're going to manage the time to sit down and record your videos, and when will you edit those videos. So everything needs to be systemized. That is my point of what I'm trying to tell you right now, is you need a system. And once you get your system together and you find that it works, keep working that system. Another lesson that I've learned along the way is that community is everything. You got to have community, because if no one is talking back, then you feel like you're talking to empty space, right? Your voice echoes and there's nothing, there's crickets, there's nothing, no one to validate anything you've just said, to let you know that what you've said has resonated with them. And so I've experienced both sides of the coin. I've been in the situation where I've had a lot of feedback and thousands of views on my videos and so many responses on those videos, or maybe a lot of feedback from a podcast episode that I pushed out, or just when I send out an email newsletter to my list, I get replies back from the list from some people who say, thank you for this. It's really helpful. So that's one way to form community. Another way is through a Facebook group. So there's different ways to connect with your audience, your listeners, your viewers, your readers. There's also been seasons where I've heard no feedback. So I will keep creating the content, but not know how I'm doing and not know if it's connecting with them or not. And sometimes even my views will completely dwindle and I'll have hardly any views, or I might have, not many listeners to an episode that I publish. Whereas another episode just really takes off. So it just depends on the topic, I guess, what's resonating with people at the time, what people are looking for at the time. And so you just have to gauge what you're doing to see, is it making sense? Am I making sales? That's a big thing in business. Am I making sales? And if not, why not? Why am I not resonating with my audience? And then you have to recalibrate that and see what's happening. Maybe talk to a business coach and have them do an audit of everything that's happening in your business, including your website, any of your content portals, your podcast, your YouTube, your social media strategy. I know for me, I could definitely use a social media strategy coach at this point because I'm not using social media to my advantage. I don't have a lot, I really don't like to use Instagram a lot. So I just use it because I kind of feel like I need to, but it's not something that I use as my main thing. I love my email marketing, so I'm more using my emails as a way to connect with my audience as opposed to socials. But if I want to express a little bit more of what I'm doing online and have more of a footprint online, I probably need to expand that part of my business more. So look at what you're doing, figure out what you could improve for your business, and get someone to help you out, to get an extra set of eyeballs on what you're doing and just get some advice so you feel more well-rounded in your approach to how you're showing up online. And lastly, I just have a few tips for you. My first is to start small, but think big. You don't have to do everything at once. You don't have to build your platform at once. You don't have to build an audience in the beginning. You're not going to be able to do it all at the beginning. So start with what you have. It's going to be super small and it's going to be very humbling to begin with a very little bit. And especially if you began like me in 2004 and then stopped in 2011 and started back in 2012 and then took a break in 2014 and came back in 2015. So for me, I kept coming back and forth and sometimes with different ideas. And so it's very humbling to start over with a new idea or to take what you have and shift it into a different idea that your audience doesn't resonate with. And then you're kind of starting over anyway. But that's just life. That is the life of an entrepreneur. We find things that we're more interested in later that resonate with us better. And therefore our audience is either going to be on board or not. And if they're not, they're going to leave. They're going to, leave your list or whatever and find other things that match their lifestyle. And that is expected. That's totally expected because we are all on different journeys than we were 10 years ago and 15 years ago. So we don't expect our viewers and our readers to stay the same from year to year. We have to find new ways to invite people into what we're doing today. So don't be discouraged, okay? Just keep going and keep being yourself. Stay true to yourself. Don't try to be like anyone else. There are so many awesome entrepreneurs out there. And if you watch them too long, it might make you feel like you're not doing enough because you're never going to match up to what someone else is doing who's been doing it for 30 years. Or 15 years or 5 years longer than you, right? So we're not trying to match, we're not trying to equal to someone else. That's not the validation that we need. What we need is to start where we are, to reach the people that we reach, and to grow from that point forward. Remember to stay true to yourself, be authentic. I talk about this in my course, which I'm leaving you below, which is the Content with Confidence. I want you to be confident in your offerings to your audience. I haven't always been confident, and I'll talk about that in another video, but that confidence part is so important. Just a reminder, do not chase trends just for the sake of it. Even though we do need to keep up with what's happening, right? We need to keep on top of all the new stuff that's happening out there. So we need to know what's happening with the algorithms in Google. We need to know what Instagram's looking for, whatever your choice platforms are. You need to keep up with that. It's just being a responsible business owner, knowing what's happening in your industry and how you're going to put your face forward and continue to grow. But you don't need to keep up with every trend that's happening, meaning that the things that are going on in your spot of the world, your spot of the business world, other business owners who are doing something similar to you, but doing it in a different way that seems a little trendier. You don't have to keep up with what they're doing. In other words, be yourself, do things the way you do it that feels natural for you. Maybe it doesn't give you immediate views because you're not hopping on that trend that everyone else is at the moment. But remember, trends, they come and they go. But the sustainability of your business is, do you have an audience that trusts what you say? And that's important. So just be yourself and be authentic, and your audience, they will know who they're dealing with and they will know who they want to give their money to. All right. So thank you so much for watching. I can't wait to come back on another video and keep sharing this encouragement with you guys.